Hey, welcome. I'm Jay, and happy Friday. We're a day late on this one, but busy week. What are you going to do? We got Kevin here, just looking for general feedback, and that's what we're going to give as we can. If you'd like me to review audio of yours, there's a form in the description to send something my way just like this. If you'd like to jump the queue, like Kevin here, you can check out the Booth Buddies down below. It's a channel membership here, gives you priority access to feedback like this, and supports these efforts. Ta-da! Kevin, let's dive in and see what we can see.
I had gone on the canoe trip anyway. The warm, clear day had started innocently enough. The Yakima River moved smooth and swift, and for a couple of miles the current was fun, exciting even. I could feel the exhilaration that nature gives you when you merge with its immense raw power. Then we turned a bend. Up ahead lay a fallen cottonwood tree stretched across the river, its thick branches hanging just above the water.
Okay, pausing because we got a lot to work with already. Good start for sure. Your audio sounds generally over, we'll start with the technical, then move to performance stuff. Overall, your audio sounds pretty solid. I would probably dial back your compression a smidgen. It's on the edge of feeling overcompressed in certain respects. But and then aside from that, there are just a couple moments where the audio feels like it clips at the end of your phrases, like you've used a gate and then patched in your noise floor or something like that. And I would adjust that either to try to not do that if you can, or dial it back a bit on that end as well. Things that'll help with that: if you extend the release on your gate or whatever you're doing, or lower the threshold, things like that can be helpful. The other thing is, I don't hear in your sample so far very much breath, which leaves me somewhat suspicious that you may be clipping your breaths out in order to minimize or mitigate them. That's unnecessary. I, in fact, particularly for material like this, like to hear the breaths. It helps me to understand that A, you're a human being. I may have missed some breaths in there, but the thing that separates real voiceover artists from AI, basically, is breath. A lot of AI models, they're trying to emulate human patterns of speech and breath and the flow of things, and they can't do it very well. And so your breath is a major component of humanity, basically, that helps to distinguish this kind of thing from being an AI voice. So those things on the technical side of stuff, we could shift, and I think would be an improvement overall. In terms of the performance, the things that I would offer as adjustments right now, and I think we've had this note before, where the ends of phrases tend to fade off into final phrasings where they go down. And purely on a technical thing, if you intonate downward at the end of a phrase, then it terminates the energy. And I hear certain instances where you're either actively not doing that, which are great, but I think overall, listening for that downward inflection at the end of your phrases will be a sign to you that certain things maybe aren't happening as much as they could. So just to pinpoint what I'm talking about, I'll play the ends of a few phrases and just listen to the music of the voice.
Way. Enough. Swift. It's fun. Even. Power.
So they all go ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. In terms of the rhythm and the inflection and pitch of them, they're following the same pattern pretty consistently, and that notes two things to me. One is that maybe we're a little bit disconnected from or not as connected to the story as we could be. And what I mean by that specifically is right now, in my experience of listening to it, it sounds very articulate, very well read, but it does sound like somebody reading a story, not necessarily somebody who is living currently or has experienced these things in the first person. There are times when we pull out of that.
Its thick branches hanging just above the water. Then we turned a bend.
Yes, those two phrases come close, but they still, to me as a listener, edge more in the direction of reading rather than experiencing and living the story, if that makes sense. And so the adjustment for me would be, as you go through things, investing more in the images that you're seeing and what that impact has on you specifically and why it's important for you to communicate that. So we'll do a quick A/B. These are not line readings, and I'm not trying to emulate or copy your performance. I am going to lean in that direction, but I'm not making a commentary on your read at all.
I had gone on the canoe trip anyway.
So what I hear is, I had gone on the canoe trip anyway, when it could be, I had gone on the canoe trip anyway.
The warm, clear day had started innocently enough.
The warm, clear day had started innocently enough.
The Yakima River moved smooth and swift, and for a couple of miles the current was fun. Exciting even.
Yeah, so that phrase right there, exciting even, is a great instance of being more in the story. But when we hear the pattern of, notably, that is a moment where your inflection doesn't, but, as it does here. Anyway, this one is exciting even. And that to me reads more like you being in the story rather than, here is some information about the story that I'm going to tell. And it's really, really exciting, and that moment sticks out a lot in a very positive way for that reason. So when you feel that, hey, the river was like this, and it was like this, and it was exciting even. That feeling of excitement is something that you can sort of take as a, guidepost for other moments. So as you're discovering the day here, leading to that excitement, the things that you're thinking about, recalling that day, looking back, yeah, I decided to go on the canoe trip anyway, and the day was pretty good, and the river was flowing really nicely, and you know what? I was even excited. That sort of retelling with a little bit more investment, I think, will be really helpful.
I could feel the exhilaration that nature gives you when you merge with its immense raw power.
In that phrase, one of the things that I'm thinking is, you might be served well by breaking that up a little bit, purely technically. It feels like it's going on a little bit longer, but the different images, where if I'm relating to someone in a storytelling, and I'm like, I could feel that thing, you know? You've probably experienced this, where you merge with nature and it just like that swelling of its raw power. And there's that sort of connection across space where I'm actually sort of offering this experience to the listener in a sense of like, hey, you've experienced this too, right? It's crazy. And that's what I was going through in that moment. Whereas I think that's something to drive towards rather than where it sort of rests for me right now as the listener, where it's a little bit internal, not really engaging with me, the listener, in as active a way as I think we could, and that would be really great to take a peek at. Let's jump to the end and just listen to the closing here.
My body was no longer of concern. My awareness sharpened, and I felt myself move into another place, separate from the pain, separate from the water. It was as if I were floating in a tranquil space where time did not exist. I began to review my life, watching it as though it belonged to someone else.
Okay, really, really nice. I love this little phrase here.
Separate from the pain, separate from the water.
And the things that I would encourage here are, with respect to the images that you're describing, have something specific in your mind's eye that you're referencing in that way. When you're talking about the pain, what pain are you talking about specifically? I know we skipped the passage of this where we talk about that, but as you're reading it here, just have in mind where in your body that pain was, and then how you separated from it, and then the contact of the water on your body in that moment. Imagining that thing, how cold was it? Was it warm? Was it tepid? Was it frigid? And did it pull on your clothes in a certain way? Were you floating on the top of the water? Were you completely submerged underwater? All of those little sensory things, as you spend time thinking about them, and this isn't something that necessarily snaps right away, but can come with practicing this sort of imagination, it becomes much more vivid for the listener. And this final phrase,
I began to review my life.
As you're reviewing your life, what images specifically were coming to your mind right there? I don't know. Was it images of, school, your home, your pet, your loved ones, whatever it was, but having those specific images in your mind as you're the point is to have the images in your mind, and if you can tie them to a physical sensation in your body, that helps to ground both you and describe it more vividly and viscerally for the listener. And it's really worth investing in that sort of thing if you can. But great work, Kevin. Thanks for sending this in, and let us know where this is from. It's a really interesting piece, and I know I skipped the middle chunk of it, but that'll leave people wanting more, I suppose. Well, anyway, until the next one of these, everybody, be well, and I'll see you soon. Toodles.